So this is how much I've made in the past 365 days making videos about the market. This is how many views I've gotten. This is everything. I show this every time I stream. I'm very upfront about it. And I'm getting frustrated because there is a huge contagion going throughout the community that I've tried just hoping would go away because addressing it would be a very toxic thing to have happen. But I'm at the point where the toxicity of the thing that is toxic is now way more toxic than me addressing it. There is a conflict of interest in me making videos about the market. It's what I do for a living now. It paid for my apartment. You guys paid for the apartment I just moved into. You paid for my phone. You paid for my computer. You paid for my monitors. You pay my car. You pay for my shots that I get at the bar. You pay for my time at the pool hall. I like to think that the content I provide, some of which no one else is talking about, things like advanced market mechanics, things like ways of concealing short interest, things like, hey, here's a little laugh that you can have such that you can get through your day. I like to think that these are of enough substance that can hopefully remotely justify the luck that I have been given, the blessing that I have been given. Partially was earned, but a lot of it's been luck. There's too much black and white, and it's gotten to a point where the validity of information and data is now contingent upon the author rather than the data itself. And it's setting up for a real shitstorm. Yes, there is a conflict of interest here, but some people are genuinely trying to help. And if you're wondering how you can tell, I ask that you watch what kind of videos they make. Is it regurgitation of something that everyone else is making? Or is there at least a subtle hint of originality? How often are they responding to people and fans? Is it only during the market hours? Or are they up at night? Do they stream after the market? Do they stream on the weekends? Do they respond to people who are giving criticism? Those who are not, I think, paint a very clear picture as to what their intent is in all of this. There's a difference between making a living doing something you love and making a living taking advantage of curiosity. There's a very clear distinction, and I think it's very clear who takes advantage of it. I have lived a very fortunate life. I started coding when I was 12, became a software developer shortly after dropping out of high school. Is when I got my first gig doing it. I ended up moving on and making around 6 figures. And then I started doing YouTube. I couldn't take my eyes off the charts. I've stared at these charts for at least 1,000 hours. And if you're worried about the math, that turns out to be about 24 straight days. No, 40 straight days, cumulatively speaking. I became obsessed with these charts, trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. In what way does this shit make any sense? What are the things that no one else is digging into? And then how can I help spread the demand for information? How can I help accelerate this idea of curiosity? How can I make a narrative that enforces curiosity? How can I let people know that it's okay to have ideas? This entire it's insanity. Like, I remember when I would always go to Reddit back in February through March, April, and after May I was doing my own thing, or after April I was doing my own thing, just trying to find what the fuck was going on. I was stalking Reddit. I was stalking Twitter before that became the scene that it is now, trying to have even an iota of some fresh ideas. And I got to a point where I couldn't find anything. I couldn't. There was nothing, like it was all just regurgitation. And that's when I had to go down my own path. shortly after the channel came about. And that's when there was a niche of demand for curiosity and a different lens in all of this. And still, because of how much I've made, which again, I show this on stream every time I stream. Because of what I made, it somehow invalidates who I am and what research I have produced. Despite explaining advanced market mechanics, market plumbing, if you want to call it that, concealment methods for short interest, theories as to how over-the-counter derivatives can be used to create synthetic exposures to these stocks that no one else can figure out what the fuck's going on with. Despite providing entertainment in such a way that if you're having a shit day, that I can at least maybe make you laugh a little bit. Despite answering hundreds of questions, potentially thousands of questions on Twitter, Reddit, YouTube, I've made it very clear what my incentives are in this. But the thing is money is not my motive. Money is just a tool to me. And I've made it very clear that I'm good. I'm good. You have changed my life in such an unimaginable way. I am as transparent as can be, and I provide everything I can. Like if you want to know who's in this and who's not, just look at when they reply to people. If it's only during market hours, and if it's not on weekends, that should paint a clear enough picture as to what their intent is. Caring about what you're doing is not a 9 to 5. Your passion does not start at 9 o'clock in the morning and go away at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. If it does, it's not a fucking passion. And if you're wondering who has the passion and who does not, just look at when they reply. Look at when they engage. Look at when they interact. And more so, look at what they interact with. If it's just constant echo chambers of confirmation bias as to what they're doing, that should be a red flag. If they're constantly trying to coddle you and tell you everything's going to be okay, it's probably a red flag. And not many people do that. The ones that do very rarely will have a sub count greater than 50,000 subs. And that's a rolling number because as more time elapses, more people are jumping in, and that number will naturally inflate. But it is very clear who does and does not coddle. And it's very clear who adapts and who does not. A great example is Trey. Oh, he's definitely yeah, Trey and I talked on the phone an hour ago about this. He has the same concerns. It seems like there's too much worry about who is doing what. And it's because it's our fault. We have not been explicit in any of this. I'm ashamed that I haven't made a dedicated video about this subject. I talk about it a lot on the streams, and so does Trey. But neither of us, at least that I'm aware of, I know I haven't, have made a video that explicitly addresses this conflict of interest. And it's time. It's been time for a long time. Because of the fact that there is abuse going on. There is abuse of people's curiosity and an innocent desire of information. I'm making a video with names. I hear stuff. I know stuff. It's time for a change. It's so sad seeing people being afraid to share ideas. It's so sad being the guy that has to fucking tread carefully because of what someone thinks about him because he has 25,000 subs on YouTube. He's got 30,000 followers on Twitter. Maybe I'm just doing something right. I don't do everything right, but I know that I do a few things right. I didn't get my followers through follower fucking trains. I didn't get my followers fucking jerking people off and retweeting, and I didn't get my subs doing that either. I've been one of the most contentious figures in this entire thing. I've had so many people call me so many fucking names and say they do so many fucking things to me, all because I go against the grain, which I don't know if you've noticed. I don't know. Maybe that's just who I am. Maybe that's how change happens. People going against the grain. I've always encouraged people to think for themselves. Educate. Care for the guy next to you. But don't ever be complacent in ignorance. I call myself out when I'm wrong. I address it, I apologize, and I factor it into the next idea. Some people have been doing the same shit since fucking February, though. Some people give themselves the false title of a data scientist despite no videos about any form of analysis of data sets whatsoever. Some people claim to be market analysts who can't even tell you an advanced multi-leg hedging strategy and how that could be affecting the charts that we care and love about. The decision is yours. You can label me as one of the bad actors in this, but before you do, I ask that you at least watch. I ask that you at least watch and listen. The validity of data should not be contingent upon the author, but the data itself. It's so frustrating when the majority of conversation in all of this, the blessing that the apes have to have the sheer amount of numbers and passion for the same thing, yet everyone that has majority of noise in this is too caught up in the fucking drama. And that's why I'm addressing this. Here's my conflict of interest. I want this shit to go away. I don't want people to have to be worried about who's making money and who's not and for what reasons. It's very clear what I do. It's very clear what I make. I like to think that there is some justification to it. So there's going to be some purging happening as far as content creators go. I think the ones that are meant to stick around will. And I think the ones that aren't supposed to will not. If you want to stick around, get your shit together. If you don't, get the fuck out. You know who you are. Moon Gang!